Penny here for the football engineer. Today we got my boy Diego Barahona, former under 20 international for El Salvador and current fullback for Cal State Dominguez Hills from Baldwin Hills, California. How you doing today, bro?
Good, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Good,
How
good.
you doing?
So, what's a day in your life look like at Cal State Dominguez Hills, and what's your major?
A day in my life at Cal State Dominguez Hills honestly just depends. If we're in the midst of season, we'd have to wake up. At least me, I'd have to wake up at like 5 to get to school around maybe like 6:30 ish for weights at
Okay,
7, and after that straight to the field for just regular training with the coaches, and then shower, do a little bit of treatment before my classes, and after that, I get to go home. I'm majoring in communication, so classes aren't too hard,
there you go.
fortunately.
All right, bro. So, what was your recruiting journey like, and how did you choose Cal State Dominguez Hills?
My recruiting journey was honestly, I would say it was crazy. I think that coming, playing from the Barça Academy, coming to LAFC, getting called up to the national team, and after the national team, leaving LAFC and going to Las Vegas Lights for a couple months, Um, I had my foot at the door. I feel like I was at the right place at the
Yeah.
right time. But unfortunately, things didn't go my way. And, I kind of just emailed one of our coaches at Dominguez Hills, which is Patrick
Okay.
Tenorio. Emailed him, and I kind of just asked him, like, is it too late for me to go to Dominguez Hills? He was like, no, it's not. Like, we'd love to have you here. I went on a campus tour. They showed me around campus. They showed me everything. I fell in
Yeah.
love with it, like the facilities that they have, the training field that we train on, like the field that we play on now. It's honestly amazing. So I would say, yeah, my journey to Dominguez Hills is honestly crazy. It was honestly crazy for me to end up there to from where I was. And I don't regret any of it. It's amazing being there at Dominguez Hills with the coaching staff that we have with my teammates, and But I'd say my recruiting process has been
Yeah, and
kind of
then
crazy.
given your background, did you have a lot of other like offers or opportunities when you were reaching out to coaches?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like coming out, I was with LAFC for a little bit. I was honestly talking to Boston College, and I feel like that was something that I probably should have done. Coming from LAFC, like they come down, they came to watch me practice, they came to watch me play, they email me, but one thing that would really kind of mess up my recruiting was my GPA for high school wasn't the
Okay.
highest. So it was more like it was always just more, that was always an issue for coaches. And so Boston wanted me to go do a year at
Okay.
UMass Lowell. And I kind of was like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. And then I kind of just, was still playing, training with LAFC's first team, second team. And then, after whatever happened after that, I kind of just settled for Dominguez Hills, which, in my opinion, is probably one of the best things that I've done
Yeah,
so
and
far.
then having played for El Salvador, what was it like to represent like the country of your heritage, man?
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, that was probably one of the craziest things, like just being able to represent, my country, and being able to have my mom see me
Yeah.
play for not, the country that she was also born in, was one of the craziest things to me, getting called up. I think, we all got emotional. Like, it was just something that, I kind of didn't expect at the time. My brothers didn't expect, my
Yeah.
mom didn't expect at the time. So, when I got that call up, and I told my mom about it, she got emotional, and it was honestly like that. Just the feeling of not only playing, not only a game, but you're playing
Yeah.
for a whole
Yeah.
nation. Like I was with the U20s, with the U18s, but there was always fans that were there. Like everywhere that we played, they were always there. Like I remember going to Dallas Cup, and we had a game. It was like a Wednesday game during school hours as well. And we played it was like at the Dallas Sports Complex. I forgot what it was called, but the whole field was surrounded with like Salvador fans, and it was probably one of the craziest things that I've experienced. Especially playing at like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
U20 level. You don't really see stuff like that, but when you do, like it kind of it's like eye opening, and it just goes to show that El Salvador is probably, we're not the best nation, we're not the best country at soccer, but just the support that we have, that they have for us, is always amazing. So it was truly something beautiful for me to experience
It
being with the
shows
national
that
team for sure.
like there's a lot bigger things than soccer. Like it brings all the countries together and just fans from all over the place.
No, yeah, for sure. It brings, yeah, exactly. Like it was amazing. It was amazing to just be around that
And then
atmosphere.
you've been in a lot of high level environments, having played for the LAFC Academy, the Barça Residential Academy. What was the key to your development as a youth player?
I think the key to my development as a youth player, I think it was just me staying hungry. I think that's probably one of the hardest things to do is staying hungry, wanting to do it. A lot of sacrifices. I think all the sacrifices that I've made, that my parents made, that was also something that kept me going as well. It played a big part in my development. My brother as well, he was a big part in that, waking me up super early in the morning to go train, beach sessions in the morning. Um, Wake me up at 5 a.m. We'd have to go do this, even though I hated
Yeah.
it at the time, I was young. I look back on it now and, something that I know played a big part in my development as a player. Not only that, it built a lot of character in me, and I think that's what I honestly played a big part in me developing to where I'm at right
And
now.
then where did your love for the game come?
My love for the game came from, honestly, my brother. I think he's obviously older than me, so watching him play and watching my twin brothers play as well. Um, I think that's where the love for the game came from. I think it was just something that, just being around. So me being around the game so often, I think it was just something that I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm gonna try and do, and hopefully get something out of it. So I think that's where the love of the game came from, and it's been a whole love
And
story
then
since then.
for a young player trying to get to the level that you've achieved and the success that you've had, what advice would you have for them?
For a young player, I would say, just stay hungry, stay focused. There's a lot of distractions out here, like especially, you have friends, and you're young, of course. Everybody, you want to go out, you want to go have fun, you want to go do things and stuff. But I think just staying focused and staying locked in the vision that you have, I think that's honestly um, the best advice I could give them. Just staying focused, just have that tunnel vision into what you want to do, and just focus on what you need to do, and everything else will fall into place. If you play your cards right, everything falls into place, and yeah, I think that's probably the best advice I could give them, because the fun will come, but I think
Yeah.
you need to work to get to where you want to get to, and so yeah, I think that's probably the best advice I could give them. Just keep working hard, keep your head down,
And
work.
then do you have any like technical advice or like training things that you would do all the time on your own to really improve or get to that next level?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, like, I would go train with my brother. He'd always make sure we work on technical stuff. It was funny because at the time we did a lot more technical stuff because I played
Okay.
midfielder. So, um, it was just a lot of ball work, a lot of dribbling through cones, a lot of, long balls, a lot of pings, a lot of things like that, So I think that's what helped me, just me being on the ball a lot. Now that I'm a center back, I think that helps me a lot because it's taught me to stay composed, especially coming out from the back. Like one little mistake back there, and it can cause you a goal. I think that me just being around the ball a lot, I think that was something that has helped me. Yeah, I think just working on your technicality, just working on the ball, on a little bit of shooting, whatever position it is, you kind of have to work on that. Like whether you're playing striker, working off ball movements, just doing
Yeah.
something to help you improve at the
And
position you're
then when
playing.
did you make that
Yeah.
transition into the back line?
It's funny because it was at the
Okay.
Barça Academy actually. I was playing midfielder. I was probably one of the taller guys on the team, and one of our center backs had got hurt, and he kind of just moved me back there. It kind of caught me off guard, but I also
Yeah.
wasn't surprised. He threw me back there, and I would say I think I was performing well and I was training well at the back line, and he kind of just kept me there. And I'm not gonna say I hate it, and I'm not gonna say I like playing center back, because like I feel like it limits me to, like I feel like I'm more of an attacking player, and I feel like center back limits me to me going forward and me trying to take shots from, but yeah, it was honestly at the Barça Academy where I transitioned from midfielder to center back.
Yeah, and then I would say another thing like going into like Salvador camps and even with LAFC, what was it like? Like, what were the coaches like? I know as you kind of climb the ladder, you get a different quality of coach, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So when I got to LAFC, the coaching staff, I feel like they were honestly great coaches. Like they'd hold everybody accountable. At that point, you're like in a pro environment, so you have to start acting like one. You have to start training like one. So I think me being at the LAFC Academy, it helped a lot. Like the coaches there were amazing. The training sessions were ran perfectly. Like everything about just being at LAFC just felt professional.
Yeah,
Than going to El Salvador. It's a whole different ball game at that point. It's like I guess you're with the big dogs now. Like national team coaches, national team scouts. At this point, it's like I was fortunate enough to have great coaches around me as well. Gerson Perez, who just recently won the U21 Liga MX with Pumas. I was
okay,
with
yeah,
him. I was fortunate enough to be with his dad as well, Hugo Perez. So those were, I've been fortunate enough my whole life to be around some amazing coaches, and it's honestly helped a lot, and you learn a lot just being around them, like just learning to be a student of the game. You learn from them, so it was honestly great. It was honestly great being around that environment, those environments, and being with those coaches. Honestly helped a lot. You learn a lot. I learned a lot, and yeah, man, like just being with those coaches was honestly something crazy. Like it was just something new every day where it just make you fall in love with soccer. So it felt
yeah.
great.
What's like a major thing that you learned?
One of the major things that I've learned, and it's funny because every coach that I've been with has said this, like you have to be a student of the game. Whether even if you're a pro, like you have to be a student of the game. You have to be willing to learn what the game is going to throw at you. You have to be willing to soak everything in that the coaches tell you, like just being a student of the game, just learning, wanting to just going into practice, wanting to learn something new every day. Whether it's the rule, the 1% rule. You wake up, you want to get better, 1% better every day at training. Whether it's you learning something, whether it's you getting better on the ball, whether it's you getting better at the position you play. That's honestly something that I've taken from all the coaches that I've been with, and that's something that they've always told me: just being 1% better and being a student of the game.
Yeah, and then like what about something like tactics? Like, what did you pick up along the way? I know especially as you go up in level, the tactical discipline and tactical advancements definitely get higher.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I would say the tactical discipline. I would say, I think just adjusting to what formation they want to play. Because one, I was with LAFC. I think we'd play a 4-3-3, something like that. Then you go with the national team, and we play a whole different. It was a
Yeah,
whole different system. So I think just adjusting, just having to adjust to that. It was definitely hard the first couple times because it's something new. Like you go from LAFC to playing a certain formation year round to
yeah,
then being with the national team, and it's a whole different system, it's a whole different formation, it's a whole different way of how they want to play.
yeah,
So yeah, I think technically, I think that was it. Like just having to adjust to the formations that they kind of just threw at you. And as a player, you have to adapt. Like you have to just learn how to adapt to what the coaches want to give you. So I think that was honestly one of the biggest technical things that I've learned being around, LAFC and Barça Academy and even at Dominguez Hills, like, and with the national team. So yeah.
yeah. How would you also say like how would you say that the college game compares to the rest of your experiences as a player?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's totally different ball game. Like being with the national team, the level is so much faster.
Okay,
Like because it just feels so much faster. Like at this point with the national team, you're around players who've been pros since maybe they were like they got signed at a young age, like 14, 15,
yeah,
training
yeah,
Houston Dynamo, Colorado Rapids, Vancouver Whitecaps, like just teams like that. You get to the college level, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's a drastic change, but it kind of is. Like I would say college is more so like not technical. It's more so just run and gun. A lot of colleges just play that
Yeah,
long
yeah,
ball, and they have a super big forward up there waiting for him to receive the ball, and everybody just chases after, and being at LAFC and being with the national team, it was more like trying to possess the ball.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
would say at DH, that's something that that it's we're fortunate enough to do. Like we move the ball very well, we play soccer. Like I think that's what the coaches expect from us. So it wasn't that big. But then when you play certain teams, like certain teams that sit back with 10 men and defend you, and then just look for they'll just play counterattack ball. So I think that was honestly just the drastic change that it was. It was more so just a little faster and adapting to how certain schools play.
yeah. You got any life advice for people, bro?
Life advice. I mean, I feel like I've been, especially where I grew up. I grew up in an environment where you see things where you don't expect to see things at
Yeah,
such a young age. I think the best life advice I can give people, or even somebody that's younger than me, just don't do anything dumb. Don't fall into anything that can lead you in
yeah,
the wrong direction. I think you are who you hang around with, and like whether it's your friends, whether maybe somebody, maybe even a cousin, maybe just somebody who wants to influence you to do something bad. I think that's just I think that's probably the best life advice I can give. Just staying grounded to yourself. Not getting in trouble, staying focused, just staying out the way of everything. Like I said, you are who you hang around with, and I'm fortunate enough to have a great group of friends, a great group of people around me, and who have always guided me the right way and the right path. So I'm fortunate. I'm very fortunate for people that I have in my circle. And I think that's honestly the best life advice I can give you. Just staying grounded to yourself. Not hanging around the wrong crowds. Not doing
yeah,
dumb
yeah.
stuff.
And then how has adversity shaped, your life and your soccer career?
Man, I think it shaped me. It shaped me in the craziest way. Like I said, where I'm from here. Like I said, you see things that you don't want to see at such a young age. And I feel like you see those things, and it kind of open your eyes at such a young age, and it kind of molds you to be this man to where you kind of have to be strong. You kind of have to, you kind of just have to
Yeah,
just fight through it. Yeah, adversity is hard and it hits everybody. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, no, like, I don't go through things like this person doesn't go through things. Everybody goes through things in life, and it's just a matter of how you want to get
yeah,
over it. It's just a matter on what you do for you to get better. A matter of what you do for you to finally be like, okay, I'm opening my eyes now, and I need to start doing something. Like I think that's probably like how adversity has helped me. It shaped me to be somebody stronger. Like it helped me have tough skin now. Like when I was younger, it was hard for me to take criticism from my coaches where I needed to work on. Now I kind of just take it to the chin, and I kind of just work on whatever they tell me I need to work on and keep my head down and just
yeah.
stay focused.
Perfect. I got some quick fire questions for you, bro. Nike or Adidas?
Yeah, let's do it. As of right now, I would say Adidas. As of right now, I would
And
say
then
Adidas.
who is your footballing idol?
My footballing idol, I would say when I played midfielder, I would say Paul
Pogba.
Pogba. Um, or yeah, Paul Pogba for
And
sure.
then what's your go-to pregame like hype playlist or artist?
Oh, okay, this is a good one. So it honestly just depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes I'd wake up and I'd play like
Okay.
Davey, reggaeton. I'd play
Okay.
like Bad Bunny, Rao. Then that's on the way to the field, or on the way to the coach's office. On the way to the field, I like listening to something a little bit more hype, like maybe something like
Okay.
Chief Keef. Something that's
Yeah,
gonna get
yeah.
me going.
And then what's your favorite club? Real
Real
Madrid.
Madrid.
I think they took the dub today. I'm not sure, but we'll see. They're having a decent season.
I honestly think they lost today. I think they were losing 2-1. We were watching it
Yeah.
outside.
What do you think about
Yeah.
their season so far?
Honestly, they started off strong. I don't know what's going on now. I think what hurt us the most had to be, I think all our back line has been
Yeah.
injured for most part of the season. They'll come back for a couple games and then two of them would be injured for the next 3 months. So I think that's probably what's hurting us. But hopefully our season just continues to get better.
You think they'll win La Liga or no?
I hope so. I honestly hope so. Just because I have a lot of friends who are Barca fans, and you know how
Yeah,
that goes when they win the league, and yeah. So I hope so. I
yeah,
hope they win.
fair enough. All right, you got any closing thoughts for the people, man?
Any closing thoughts? I would say, I think just focusing on your mental health. I think, I think that's something that not a lot of people talk about. I think as a player, um, you go through a lot of things. I think you go through a lot of things, whether you're performing bad, whether you're performing good. Nobody really knows what
Yeah,
you're going through, but besides yourself, like, and like, just taking care of your mental health, man. Like, at one point when I lived at the Barça Residency Academy, I was going through it. I'm not gonna like, being
yeah,
away from home at such a young age, like playing soccer over there. Some games I would perform, some games I wouldn't. Like sometimes I wouldn't even want to get out of bed, and I kind of just needed somebody to talk to, and like thankful for my roommate that was there for me, like I spoke to him about it every day, and he'd always just be there for me, So I think, for the people, I think, just focusing on your mental health, I think that's something that plays a big part, whether not even just in sports, just in life, like I said, nobody really knows what one person is going through besides them, So I think just making sure you take care of your mental health, making sure that that you're there mentally, and that if you need somebody to talk to, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody, Yeah, for sure. Like just for sure, mental. I think your mental health, one
yeah,
million
yeah. That's a
percent.
solid message right there, bro. Well, I want to give you a shout out because I saw that you made the All West region team, bro. So congrats on that success, and uh, wishing you
Thank you,
more
thank you,
success, bro. And
thank you,
I
thank you.
appreciate having you on here. Appreciate your time. It's a pleasure to sit down and talk to you and
Oh
get to
yeah,
know
bro.
your
Thank you.
journey and your story, man. And like I said, it's just an honor, bro.
No, yeah, thank you for having me on the podcast. It was amazing. I saw my teammates and I was like, "Ooh, like I want to hop on this one day," and to be here
All
with
right,
you
bro.
today,
Well, thank you again, and that's it for
bro.
this episode. Till next time, Coach Pena out.